Oh, it's the first call of the semester. I love it. Okay. All right, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the Employability Skill Series, where we explore the top skills employers are looking for in candidates. Each week, we will cover a different topic with thoughts and insights from professionals in a variety of industries. I am your host, Megan Morrow, Senior Associate Director of Experiential Learning and Employer Relations. Today, I have Mike Neighbors as our guest, and we will be discussing the importance of emotional intelligence in the workplace. All right. Mike is an Emmy Award veteran broadcast journalist with over 30 years of television experience. He worked for national, regional, and local networks across the United States. Mike was a TV host for the New Orleans Saints, a position he held from 2006 until recently. He anchored pre and post game shows. He also hosted the Errands series, a segment he created where he ran errands with Saints players, which aired on all Saints platforms. He authored The Breezeways, a book that chronicled the careers of the future Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't have that. What's his name?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees. Okay, thank you. For some reason, I don't have that in there. He
Yeah.
also authored the Don't Quit Pivot. Before the New Orleans Saints, Mike was the TV host of the Tampa Bay Lightning, serving as the team's pre-game host and ringside reporter. Mike was also a national and regional host for Fox Sports Net, covering every major sporting event and team in Florida for 3 years. Mike is the founder and CEO of Neighbors Media Group, a full-scale video and multimedia marketing production company. Mike is a full-time professor at Florida Southern's Barney Barnett School of Business, where he launched career or courses in both sports innovation entrepreneurship and the business of sports media. His classes are available to graduate and undergraduate students. Good morning, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Good morning. Good morning. Great to be on with everybody.
Hey, so before we jump into this really incredible topic of emotional intelligence, so you authored the book The Breezeways, which was a big hit. You are currently working on a sequel to that, is that correct?
Possibly, yeah. Drew will be in the Hall of Fame this year. He's a finalist, but he will definitely be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So I'm thinking about updating it because of his Hall of Fame status. But I was really excited about this topic because I know you have different topics every semester. I think this topic really plays into everything that I teach, from media to management to marketing and to everyday life. So really excited to talk about this.
All right, so let's just jump right in. So, what is emotional intelligence? Can you talk to us, just define it for us, what in your words?
Yeah, I think it's how your behavior impacts others. You have to be very self-aware of how what you do and how you do it and how you act in society impacts others. But you also have to be cognizant of who you're dealing with too. And I think the best example of that is as a professor. All of my classes at Florida Southern College have been different. I have different personalities, different challenges, frankly. And if whether you're a coach or a professor or a boss in an organization, you have to understand the personalities you're working with and be emotionally intelligent to that. I'll go from a foundationary standpoint. If you go somewhere and somebody opens the door for you, you should say thank you. That's the way you should treat people. If you're on an airplane, everybody's getting off the plane, you don't jump in front of somebody. You have to be emotionally intelligent that that's not good behavior. And I think the last one that maybe I'm the old man that I don't think about this, but if you're at a grocery store and you leave your cart in the middle of the parking lot, that's not emotionally intelligent to the worker who has to go get that cart. That's the way you should live your life professionally and personally. Just think about how your behavior impacts others. And I think that's the core of emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I like that, how your behavior impacts others. Being aware of those around you, your surroundings, but that right there, I like that definition, how your behavior impacts others. Let's unpack that a little bit more. So just in day-to-day life, I mean, the shopping cart's a great example. Jumping in front of people on an airplane is a great example. Just like right now, like my background is a picture of my son at his military graduation. I was at the top of the bleachers when everything was done. we got to go down and see our Marines, and we got to go hug them. People were rushing behind me. I just like everybody else, I wanted to go hug my Marine, and I mean, people were flooding behind me to get to their Marine, like their Marine was more important than my Marine. And of course, I'm not going to just elbow my way, but I had to stand back, and everybody else, and I was the last person to get on to the parade deck, and it hurt me because I'm like, I want to see my Marine just as much as you do. But, I had to sit back, and none of these people cared about anything that was going on around. They didn't care. They were just, had that tunnel vision. They only
Yeah.
cared about themselves. And I was like, wow, like we're all here together. We're all here trying to see our Marines too. And that was a prime example of nobody, caring about their surroundings. But just on a day-to-day life, I like, just that shopping cart experience or just, so let's unpack this, how your behavior, this day-to-day life. So what can students do to be more aware of how their behavior impacts others?
Well, I feel like the longer that I've taught, I'm not going to say stricter, but the more I'm aware of what behavior should be in the classroom. Because the more
Okay.
you teach, you have more experience. I always talk about respect. It just comes down to respect. I think we as professors need to respect you as students. That's pretty obvious, right? But you need to respect us too. I don't mind if you have a laptop in my class, but I don't want you to per se, use it and not listen to me in class. Okay.
Hmm.
I feel like it's a two-way street in life. Talking in class while I'm lecturing, being late. If you're going to be late, if you're going to miss class, let me know. Just think about how your behavior impacts me. And when I look at my class, I have to think about how my behavior impacts you. So it's emotional intelligence. Just think of others. Life is bigger than yourself. You have to think of other people and how what you do for a living impacts them. And I think that's a big takeaway.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up because just this semester alone, I've started implementing no laptops in my classroom too. For that simple fact, I've usually said like, "Hey, we're adults here. I want you guys to, use your best judgment." But I have found that, my students weren't paying attention, and then I would have guest speakers, which was to me incredibly rude and
Yes.
disrespectful to have laptops up, and it's clear that you're not taking notes or you're not, that you're watching something. When you have three or four people in the back all hunched around one laptop, when you've got someone coming from the outside giving their time to speak to this class, offering their time, and they're not getting paid for that. They're giving their time, and then you're watching clearly sports or watching YouTube or watching something on your laptop. So I've had to say, nope, no more. Sorry. No laptops in my classroom anymore because of that way that behavior was affecting me, affecting my guests. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, I mean, just think about life on how, whoever you're dealing with, whether it's your boss, even a coworker, your roommate at college, your teammate at college, how your behavior impacts them. Because the things that may irritate you, make sure you're not doing that to other people because sometimes unconsciously, we have a behavior where we don't think about that. Just think about everyday life, everything that you do, maybe how you could change and be better. I think that's a big takeaway from emotional intelligence. And this is all of us. I'm always trying to be better. I'm always trying to be more sensitive and to be better for my class. And I think students need to be better as well. What can I do to be more respectful? What can I do to maybe think about what my professor is going through, what my roommate's going through, what my teammates going through? Life is bigger than us. And I think it doesn't matter, what side of the classroom we're on, whether we're teaching or whether we're learning, we have to think of each other.
I like that. I like that a lot. So let's say that somebody is experiencing behavior that's impacting them from somebody else. How, so we're working on ourselves. Like you said, you're always trying to be better. I'm trying to be better. Somebody that's on that journey where they're trying to be better, but somebody say is impacting them. What advice could you maybe give somebody that where they could maybe approach that other person, maybe that isn't being aware of their surroundings? How could they in a positive way help that other person say like, hey, could you maybe change your behavior? Would you advise somebody that they could talk to somebody and help them be aware?
Yeah, I think sometimes we have to put this down, right? I understand this is a part of our everyday life, but think about how many times you've texted someone and they've totally misunderstood the text. because
Oh, hmm.
they don't know how you said it. If you put the phone down and call them immediately and say, "Hey, I think you misunderstood me. This is what I meant by that." I think that's how we could erase a lot of the problems that we have in terms of communication. And this is all ages. This isn't your generation alone, students. This is my generation, everybody's. We need to talk more. We need to communicate more. The texting, the emails, the social media, everything gets lost in translation. And I think if that builds and builds and builds, it can really hurt relationships. If we do more talking and put the phone down, and I know we need the phone. I know
Yes.
sometimes we need to text. We need to do more talking. And if we do that, I think we all would get along better and we could communicate a whole lot better.
Oh, 100%. I say this all the time. You cannot discern tone over text.
Yeah.
So, what it could be taken out of context so easily, something that was a joke. I know me, I use a lot of humor and sometimes it can be dry. And I mean it like silly or fun. And it's like, whoa, whoa, I didn't mean it that way. But yeah, like you said, it's misinterpreted.
Right.
Um, let's take a slight shift. Let's talk about owning your feelings. I hear a lot. I know, like my younger son, I have a 12-year-old, and he means it jokingly, but he'll go, "Ugh, I'm offended," or and I'll say, "Okay, be offended." So let's talk about like emotional intelligence as far as like you can't you have to be aware like okay, be offended, what's going to happen, like the world can't mold around everything, like everything that you're feeling, like you have to be able to be offended and it's going to be okay. Let's talk about that.
Well, I think when you're a professor, you're a head coach, you're a CEO of an organization, I think you try to treat everyone equal. But I think the most intelligent, emotionally intelligent leaders know that different people get offended by different actions. I know I have two daughters and they're completely different personalities. How I handle one will be different than I handle another. And I think the best leaders tend to handle people differently to get the most out of your class, to get the most out of your team, get the most out of your organization. Some people need hugs more than others. Some people, you need to get on them a little bit more. You need to know who you're working with. We all have different personalities. We're all motivated differently. We all are offended differently. And so I think you need to think about that too, whether you're in a fraternity, a sorority, whether you're on a team, whether you're in an organization on campus. Just think about all the different personalities that you deal with on a daily basis. If you treated everybody the same, I don't think you would have as many friends and as many great relationships. You need to know how maybe your roommate's a little different than your sorority sister or your fraternity brother, and that's okay. That's why the college experience is so great because it teaches us to treat people in the way that they want to be treated. And that's part of emotional intelligence. We need to understand that all of us don't take to the same, maybe if we sit down with someone, we need to deal with this person different than this person because they're just a different personality. And that's part of learning and growing up is knowing that we're all different.
Absolutely. We perceive things differently.
Yeah.
Perception is reality. We perceive things differently. And, to be able to shift and say, that people are different, we handle people differently, but also too, to be in control of your own feelings that
Yeah.
when somebody is talking to you or say that, like a message is being sent to the classroom, like when you're teaching to an entire class, you've got 25, 30. I know some of my classes are a little bit larger. I've got sometimes upwards to 49 students in a class, and I'm making a statement like it's not being directed specifically at you. So be in control of your feelings and your emotions and make sure, it's not a personal attack. And if you do feel that something, like if you are upset by something that somebody says, either step back and take a moment, like, hey, was that personally directed at me? And if you feel it is, then, take that moment and go speak to that person and say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about today's message, instead of letting it just sit and fester and letting it become personal.
It's easy, and we all go through it. And trust me, students, I go through it at my age. When you hear something, you think, "Oh, they're talking to me. It applies
Hmm.
to me." And you got to really understand that when I teach and when I lay the ground rules out my first day, I talk about, you got to be on time. If you're consistently not on time, I'm going to tell you not to show up to the class until you're on time. That doesn't mean I'm talking to you. That just means I'm sending a message to the class because I've experienced something in a prior class where a lot of people were late, and I just want to make sure everybody gets the message. You may be thinking, boy, I'm never late. I'm always respectful. Everything is not, geared towards you, but as a professor and as professors in this college, we need to do that. You know what? I talk about media a lot. And I know I've interviewed a lot of different athletes, and I have to be emotionally intelligent to know some athletes don't like talking to the media as much as others. And we tend to gravitate towards those that are more comfortable. And in this day and age of social media, a lot of athletes will lean on their social media platforms. Why? Because they're more comfortable doing that. And you know what? That's okay. That is okay. And as reporters, we need to be emotionally intelligent to know, just like I just said to you guys, we have a lot of different personalities we're dealing with. And it's the same when I talk about management. Say you work for the Tampa Bay Lightning and you have a staff meeting of 50 people, and you know you have creative people, you know you have accountants who are very good with numbers, you have all different kinds of personalities. You have to be emotionally intelligent to know, just like in the media, this is how I'm going to get the most out of this person, or in the media, I'm going to get the best interview by talking to this athlete in this way and this athlete in another way. It all comes back to emotional intelligence. You have to understand the personalities you're working with.
I like that. Yeah, it's true. As again, going back to being a professor, I know what students that I can, like you said, lean on a little harder, or which ones I might need to be maybe a little bit softer with, or, like I had a student when I do at the end of the semester, we do elevator pitches, and speaking in front of groups is very socially awkward. It causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of students. So I knew that one young lady, she was really, really nervous and she didn't want to do it. And she's like, I need someone to, go right after me so that I feel more comfortable. And I knew exactly. So I reached out to one student who had already done his pitch, but I knew him and I knew who I could lean on. And I was like, so again, being emotionally intelligent, reading my students, kind of reading the room, I knew I could go to him and I say, I know you already did it, but I need you to immediately jump up and go right after this young lady. And he was like, oh, yeah, exactly. I can do that for you. So again, it's reading the room, knowing personalities, knowing who I can lean on, and that's what you guys as students need to do too. Need to know who are your people, who to lean on, when to speak up, when to use humor, when to be serious, when you can cut back, and it's all about that emotional intelligence, being able to know when to be what side of you that you can be. I like that, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. I look at your generation. I have to be sensitive to know that all you have known in your lives, frankly, are having these. And when I was your age, I didn't have these. I didn't have social media. So I have to understand, that's how you have communicated. And that's okay because that's all you've known. I feel like when I speak to my classes or when I build relationships within my classes, I really want you guys to be comfortable if you have an issue, just like, Miss Morrow just talked about that if someone has something they're worried about, we're going to listen to you because we have to be emotionally intelligent to your concerns. That doesn't mean, when I say treat people differently, that doesn't mean I'm going to allow somebody to be late and somebody to be disrespectful or somebody to miss an assignment. But if you have a concern from a personality standpoint, I think it's our job, whether it's your professor, whether you're a head coach, whether you're a CEO of a company, to understand if I'm going to get the most out of this person, I have to let them know that I'm on your side and I'm listening to you and I'm paying attention to you. And on the other side of it, I think it's really important when you do something well to let you know that too. Hey, you did a really good job on that paper, or I really like what you contributed to class today. We're not here just to have a bunch of rules and get on you. We want you to respect us, but my goal is to have a relationship with you far past Florida Southern College, where you're doing great in the real world. You're going to call me. You're going to say, I'm in this great job. I just want to let you know I'm excited. Or, hey, I'm in this position. I really like what I'm doing, but I'm having trouble here. I want you to call me. That's why I'm doing this. I want to build relationships. We're here for you. So it's not about me pounding my desk here and mandating all these rules. It's about being emotionally intelligent, getting to know you, but you also understanding me. It's a two-way street.
I like that. You're getting a little bit more fired up as you're talking because I can tell you're passionate about this. This is really
Absolutely.
great. Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
tell them all the time, like, we're here because we want to be. We love working with the students, because we want to help. I really like that. And kind of going back to what you had said earlier about leaders and managers, about, figuring out how to work with individual people. And that's what you're saying, as professors and as students, as you guys are transitioning into the real world, keeping relationships with us, but also, you should have hopefully leaders and managers who are wanting to individualize how to manage you and how to lead you. And hopefully you will have people who are looking at how do you like to be treated? How do you like to be celebrated? How do you like to be, like how can I individually motivate you? Because not everybody is the same. Going back to having your two daughters and how do you talk to each one individually, having a different set of classrooms, like you said, just not just about rules and like I'm here, I'm the boss, and it's about helping each individual person succeed in their own individual way. That's awesome. This is such a great message, Mike.
Yeah, and I really enjoy this conversation. Here's the deal, too. I tell students this all the time. Just intern as much as you can. I know Mrs. Morrow talks about that too. But here's the thing. You want to experience, you want to have fun in college, you want to learn in college, but you need to experience a lot of internships, a lot of experiences to get you ready for the real world. But let's just say this too. If you have an internship where you're not happy there, but you like what you're doing, go have an internship where you're doing that somewhere else. The same in the real world. If you have a job, you really like the job, but maybe you don't like where you're working, don't burn a bridge. Don't leave on a bad note. Just try to find a different outlet for your talents and for the craft that you enjoy. You never want to burn a bridge. You never want to hurt yourself. You want to try to progress and move on and better yourself. And just keep that in mind too.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a point we can't drill home enough. Never burn those professional bridges because
Yeah.
people know people, and you never know who you're going to see
Oh.
again later in your professional world.
Right, absolutely. It's a small planet. It seems very big at times. You go to New York City, you go to downtown, a lot of these big cities, but the word travels fast if you do burn a bridge and you're portray yourself as tough to get along with, and internally you may think, you know what, I just was not treated well. I need to get out of this situation. Don't hurt yourself. Be emotionally intelligent to yourself and realize, you know what, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm going to move on and I'm going to work at a place that I'm treated better, but I'm still doing something I love, and that's the most important thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because people talk and that reputation will follow
Yeah.
you. And if you badmouth your employer or your boss, it's only going to hurt you. Even though you think you're vindicated, even though you think like, hey, this person did me dirty, just take it, go home and vent to your significant
Yep.
other, to your friends, to your dog, but never on social media, never to your future employer. Keep it outside of your professional circles, and that will do you a world of good. It'll only do you bad if you take that out to the professional world. So that's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up. We are coming up on our time. Mike, do you have any parting words of wisdom for our students that are on the call or those that are going to watch it later on?
Yeah, just the bottom line is we all go through it. I don't care how old we are. You could be in college and you could be an old guy professor like myself. We all have worries. We all have concerns. We all think, are they talking to me? Is that towards me? Just be emotionally intelligent to people. And as we have talked about this whole session, that means think about what you do, how that impacts others. Because that's a big deal. And the more you do that, frankly, the stronger your relationships will be because you're communicating more to people and they know how you feel. And all the misinterpretations, all the misunderstandings will go out the window and it will strengthen your relationships being emotionally intelligent.
Excellent. Wow, this is such a great message. Those are great parting words. Think about I just really what you said earlier in the call, how your behavior impacts others. So if you take away literally nothing else, take that away, students, how your behavior impacts others. So be thinking about that as you're thinking about what emotional intelligence is and how you're looking to, cultivate this really important skill that employers are saying is lacking in, your generation and in employees altogether. So how your behavior impacts others is important and is something that employers are saying is lacking. So think about that now as you're in college, as you have time to cultivate this and grow this and make this a skill that you can be very proud of. Grow it. I'm Megan Morrow. I'm on the third floor of Becker. Actually, my neighbors and I are neighbors. So if you need to speak with either one of us, please feel free to reach out to either one of us.
Absolutely.
We want to speak with you. We want to grow that relationship with you. So we're here for you. We hope that you have a great rest of your day. I know that we have convo in about an hour, so I will be there. Mike, have a wonderful rest of your day. And thank you as always for always sharing your time with me and our students every semester. I really appreciate you.
All right. All the best. I love what you said. Always keep in touch with us. We're here to help you. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. All right. Bye. Now I have to learn how to stop this.